The topic of discussion this morning on Tea or Coffee is examination malpractice. Ms. Oma's story has taken the country by storm and is no news to everyone now that she has come out to admit that she forged her results. Why is examination malpractice such a norm? Why is it becoming such a norm in the educational process and system of this country? Sometimes even aided and abetted by parents and schools. This is the questions, these are the conversations that we'll be looking into this morning on Tea or Coffee. Now we have a guest in name and person of Adeniyi Kunnu, who is a lecturer, researcher, and public affairs analyst. Good morning, sir. How are you doing? All right. Now, so we're going to wait on our guests to join us because we actually have a lot of questions that we'll actually like to get into. But, in the early hours of the show, we established, that the examination malpractice, looking at two case studies, it's become such a major issue in the country. Sometimes we even see schools we see teachers,
facilitated.
parents, facilitating exam. I don't like it's very fascinating to me, that
Sad.
actually happens. Hello, sir. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys now. It's
Yes.
all good.
Good morning. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us on the show
I'm very
this
happy. I
wonderful
don't know
morning.
talking.
So can you hear us clearly, Mr. Adeniyi?
I can hear you very, very clear.
All right, thank you for
Fantastic.
joining us. All right, so what are the reasons for examination malpractice? Because I understand that there are some people. The stringent rules that have been placed in schools are things that are supposed to make people scared or afraid of malpractice. But we see a lot of people doing it as daringly as Mesama.
Well, I think that there are lots of things that can propel such vice, and one is the kind of mentors that the person has around himself or herself. If you come into a home and everybody puts their feet on the table while seated, if a stranger comes into that house, the stranger will immediately believe that that is a culture within that home. So when you're talking about examination malpractice, is the fact that we often celebrate the end result, we don't celebrate the process. And that is why people can go into relationships with fraudsters and their parents will be applauding such relationships because they celebrate the end, they don't actually examine the process. Don't forget, every parent at times wants a child to succeed, not even minding if that area is what actually allows the enthusiasm of the child and the capacities of the child being recognized. So when you find the examination malpractice happen, there are lots of things that surround it. First, how much of the child's abilities can we say the parents know about? Then when some parents go to so-called special centers and pay for their children to be assisted to get marks that they didn't work for, that can actually encourage that. Then when teachers at respective schools, learning centers also provide willingly and tell students that they can provide them with results if they pay money, I think that it's a colossal subtraction from building faultless foundational institutions, and that really remains the motivation for the vice of examination malpractice rates.
All right. Now, there's actually an examination malpractice act, which is the 1999 Examination Malpractice Act, which has actually been
Are we
implemented.
on already, please?
Hello.
Are we on?
Yes, we are. We are.
Are we
Can you hear
Oh, all
me?
right, please.
All right.
Yes, I can hear you, but you need to speak up a bit more.
All
Yes.
right, my bad. Now, I want to ask about the Examination Malpractice Act, the 1999 Examination Malpractice Act. Now, this has been signed into law, but we're still seeing a high prevalence of examination malpractice in the education system of this country. How has this act, curbed? Why is it that this act is not, curbing or discouraging examination malpractice, in your opinion?
Well, every law is lame without implementation. I really want to go back to the home because it's a very strong pivot of this conversation. Examination malpractice does not begin just in schools. It begins from what parents condone.
All right.
God bless my parents, both of them are no more. But as a younger person in primary school, my parents made it their duties to check my bag to see if I brought some what doesn't belong to me. And immediately they check it and found it, they'll tell me, is this yours? If you say yes, they'll say, where did you get it? If I bought it, they'll confirm. If I took it or found it in school, they tell me, return it to where you took it the next day. But you see, these days we are so busy, we don't think those little things matter. And the little things we do not look at actually matter. Then you can imagine, for instance, the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, the predecessor of Professor Isha Koloede, that should be Professor Dibo Jerede, as we speak, is under trial for embezzlement of billions of naira. If the person who heads an educational or academic agency of government is found to have actually what taken what doesn't belong to him, that means such persons may not be able to lead an organization where diligence and excellence and hard work and integrity is actually the order of the day. And it is obvious from the leadership of the current administration, that is by Professor Isha Kolede, apart from finding out that billions of naira had always been stolen, he's been able to build the institution as somebody who stands solid. Even as a vice chancellor, he has that record. So when you just bring laws, you promulgate laws, and you expect laws to be handled by people who themselves don't know that integrity will enable them actualize ultimate dreams and goals of that law, then it is dead ab initio. So whatever laws we have in this country, for instance, we have laws against driving one way. Military officers, police officers are the one who drive one way too. So you just don't make the law, you ensure it is implemented.
All right, so that's the key focus now, implementation of this law and ensuring that those who run foul of the law are brought to book.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes,
what can we learn from the controversy as regards Mesoma and JAMB?
Well, I think that JAM as an institution, first, let me talk about the institution. JAM is a symbol of the parents or the guardian in the home. Everything that will result in inconsistency of results announcement, result publication, people scoring one mark, then later on they can't find their name, which can happen in any digitized system. JAM has to work hard in that regard from their back end. But I think from all we've seen, especially with the way Dr. Fabian Benjamin, the spokesperson of JAM, spoke, we can find out that most definitely he has done a lot of job, and JAM has been able to improve their system to a great point. But you see, on the part of the individual, I think one of the things everybody must begin to do, such that even our educational system must take cognizance of, is to give room for people who have different abilities to be able to explore them. The person who doesn't understand mathematics may be your greatest writer. The person who understands physics may never know how to do anything with literature. So why is it that we do not become innovative, where we are able not just to look at people's results, also have some proper sit down by our educational administrators, where guidance and counseling experts within the educational sector are able to provide that talent discovery even from secondary school. And this will also keep pressures low if somebody functions in the area of their innate ability. Parents must also know that they have to drive it home in their children's mind that it is not enough for you to become first, but we want to see that every day you are making improvement towards being able to learn better, become better, so that the ultimate you is not a product of falsehood, but a product of hard work and diligence. I think that these things are correct. Then for Mesoma, let us not put her head on the guillotine. She is a product of the Nigerian institution. She probably comes from a home where the father had always pressured her to do everything to succeed, even without understanding that the process towards success is very important. The father mentioned in one of the interviews that Nigeria defrauded him, that he did a song for the country in 1999, and the song was actually stolen and not paid for. That's a bitter father against the Nigerian nation. He must have taught the child that for these that they do, you are going to take my pound of flesh back. just as we have Shiloh. So I'm simply saying here that we cannot just kill Mesoma because of this. She's 19. Therapy has been recommended. Then she needs somebody that will specially monitor her to undo the kind of ideas that she has ingrained from the home. And this push for everybody to actually make money, everybody to be seen up there, must stop. Excuse me, we are here now. Many of the technological devices we make use of, we don't even see the people who make them. But they give us room to flourish because they are the brain box behind what we use. I'm using this technology. The people who put this Zoom together now, I've not met them. We should learn to tell people that they can be celebrated even when their work is in use, even without seeing them. So the quest for success, where you believe that everybody must see you, you must take the first prize, doesn't matter. Some of the best doctors that take care of us, we don't even see some of them, but they recommend lots of things. So some of the drugs we make use of when we're not feeling fine. We don't know the pharmacists, we don't know the chemists, but they just put it out there. The people who did it have names. We don't see them, but they do their job. So people should be made to function within their abilities and be celebrated, not because they emerged the best, but because they went through the process towards becoming. So the process is very important than just the first position. That's really one way to deal with it.
All right. All right. Okay, I want to address the therapy. Now, Soludo, as you rightfully pointed out, Soludo has ordered that Mesoma goes...
Can you help me speak up a bit more, sir?
All right. The Soludo has ordered that Mesoma goes through therapy, considering, everything that has happened so far, so good. But, I understand I hear you when you say we shouldn't make Mesoma, we shouldn't pile so much pressure and all of that on her. But, examination malpractice has become a very serious issue in the educational system of this country. Don't you think that a scapegoat needs to be made out of Ms. Sommer instead of maybe therapy?
Well, I think that there's no way you're not going to let her go through therapy.
Okay.
Don't forget that she's the product of a process not properly managed, a process not properly handled. Therapy is important because of the first thing. If a child at that level will go ahead to falsify our results and also come on social media and speak convincingly, there's a problem there with her mental situation. Shade believes that she can manipulate her ways to be successful. And oftentimes, therapy enables you undo those things that appears to be becoming second nature to you. So that is one part. But I think that there is importance in actually cleaning the organs table. The entire Nigerian educational institution needs a lot of work. Don't forget, there is the fact that we've been talking about having up to 26% of the country's national budget for education. A country where university lecturers will be owed months and months of allowances and government will say threaten them. A country where people will retire from service and being able to get their pensions, especially those who have taught for many years, becomes a problem. Such things can never produce, listen carefully, can never produce any system that is fully functional. The people who teach and are not paid will look for other means to survive, and the likely way to survive is to get involved in malpractice so that they can actually have to make ends meet. After all, the same markets that bankers, that executives of companies, that politicians go to, are the same markets that those who are not paid go to. How then do we leave one part and look at the other? You can't take away certain levels of legitimate incentive from it. I have been within the sector of where I indeed talk with people, teach, train, and at some point when I find that people don't, meet up to the standard of what we agreed on, rather than stay in a system and do corrupt things, I take a walk because I want to be seen as somebody who understands the ethics of my profession. I'm using this opportunity to say that we have to look at the entire system within the pedagogical setting, where people that are even employed to teach are not employed just because they want to have a source of livelihood. They are employed because their knowledge is valued. They have been able to put them to the test so that, because let me say this, when people who just get jobs to get into schools are made teachers or lecturers, the tendency for them to bring in their warped idea of survival happens. So you make people want to teach, because when they give us degrees, they say for character and learning. So you have to understand that character precedes learning. That means the people who are coming to lecture, for instance, at the university where I am, will not be taking advantage of students for the purposes of sex, will not be demanding money from them to make them pass. So these things are what must be really considered, so that we can have a truly sanitized system, please. My apologies if I took your time.
Thank you so much. I mean, it's a whole lot for us to learn from. Thank you, Mr. Adeniyi Kunnu, for your observations, for your submissions as regards parents, parents' roles, teachers' roles, even the government role. Thank you so much for this enlightening session on examination malpractice.